Hello, I am Teacher QA. I am so excited to teach you our lesson for today. These are our content standard and performance standard in English 10 Quarter 2. At the end of the lesson, students are expected to deliver a prepared or impromptu on an issue employing the techniques in public speaking. Now let's get started. Public speaking. Public speaking is the process or act of performing a speech to a live audience. Public speaking is commonly understood as formal, face-to-face speaking of a single person to a group of listeners. Unlike its predecessor oration, public speaking involves an interplay of not only body language and recitation, but on conversation, delivery, and feedback. Public speaking today is more about the audience reaction and participation than an oration's technical correctness. Here are examples of public speaking situations. Introduction speech. A speech in which one speaker briefly introduces an upcoming speaker. Welcome speech. A speech introducing the audience to upcoming events. Toast. A ceremonial speech praising or conveying goodwill or blessings in honor of a person, accomplishment, or event. Tribute. A speech honoring a group, organization, or concept, but usually focuses on one person. Eulogy. A speech honoring a person who has died. Testimony. A speech sharing an inspiring story with an audience. Farewell speech. Presenting an award. Accepting an award. Job presentations. Class presentations. Sales speeches, and prayer at a family gathering. Objectives of public speaking. Number 1. To inform and educate. Number 2. To persuade and convince. Number 3. To entertain. And number 4. To inspire and motivate. Number 1. To inform and educate. If you want people to learn about a new concept, develop a new skill, or learn something new about a subject they already know, then the purpose of your speech is to inform the audience. Informative speeches are used to provide information about a topic to the audience. Lectures, briefings, demonstrations, webinars, and all types of informative talks fall under this category. Number 2. To persuade and convince. Sometimes, you have to convince the audience to change their attitude or behavior, or you want to persuade the audience to accept your point of view. Persuasive speeches are commonly used to sell products and services, get people to support a cause, and political campaigning. Number 3. To entertain. Humorous speeches are the most common kind of entertaining speeches, but they are not the only one. Basically, any speech whose main purpose is to entertain people can be classified as an entertaining speech. An entertaining speech could include one or more interesting anecdotes, jokes, unique experiences, and thrilling stories that delight the audience. Number 4. To inspire and motivate. Motivational speeches compel listeners to achieve noble goals or achieve their highest potential. These speeches draw on emotions and sentiment to inspire the audience. A commencement address at a college graduation or a keynote speech at a political rally is an example of an inspirational speech. Characteristics of public speaking. A good speech should be: number 1, clear. Number 2, vivid and concrete. Number 3, brief. Number 4, interesting. And number 5, audience-oriented. Number 1, speech should be clear. Clarity is the first main feature of a good speech. Your speech should be successful in conveying to the audience the ideas, emotions, facts, or arguments you want to express. Number 2, speech should be vivid and concrete. The speech should be vivid, including in it concrete facts, easy to perceive and visualize. Number 3, speech should be brief. The concentration of an average audience does not last more than 20 or 25 minutes. Hence, an ideal speech should not exceed that time unless the audience is motivated by certain interesting facts during the speech. Number 4, speech should be interesting. Quotations, anecdotes, and humorous touches often make a speech very interesting. The quotations should be familiar and accepted by experts. Anecdotes should be novel, brief, and in good taste. Humor should be typical, spontaneous, and gentle. And number 5, speech should be audience-oriented. A good speech is always audience-oriented. For delivering an audience-oriented speech, one should study whether the audience is the general public or specialized. How large is the audience? What is the age group of listeners? What are their social, religious, political, and economic views as well as prejudices of the listeners? What would be the response of the expected audience? Importance of public speaking. Number 1, to win over the crowd. Number 2, to motivate people. And number 3, to inform. Number 1, to win over the crowd. An important skill to have in business, and especially in the public relations arena, is the skill of persuasion or the ability to win over the crowd. Inside and outside the workplace, the power of persuasion can carry you far, and it all starts by honing those public speaking skills. Mastering public speaking results in an increase in confidence, and with that, a cool and collected presence in front of an audience. Of course, it is imperative to be knowledgeable about the subject you are presenting, but beyond that, when making a persuasive speech of any kind, including a sales speech to a client, you need to be prepared to answer the opposition and to speak with poise. To make a strong case, the ability to speak publicly is not only important, but essential to make forward strides. For example, in order to express why a certain product or idea would be an interesting topic to an editor of publication, one must use strong enough, convincing language to elicit intrigue and curiosity. A great pitch will persuade the consumer or editor to want to know more. When addressing any audience with an idea or argument for or against something, public speaking allows you to make your case compellingly and convincingly. Number 2, to motivate people. A great public speaker attains the power to motivate his or her audience to do something, stop doing something, change a behavior, or reach objectives. But to carry an idea forward, you must be able to excite and enliven your peers, employees, Co-workers and customers. Public speakers are leaders who are able to inspire their audience to work harder to achieve their goals. As a public speaker, your role is to influence your listeners and create an environment where everyone walks out ready to roll. You are not merely giving a speech in the attempt to get your audience to take a certain action. Speakers are part of the action and can convey come across as a fake. On the other hand, if you sincerely care about your topic, the audience will pick up on that too. They'll view you as being more authentic and believable. They'll listen more closely to discover why your subject is so important to you, and they are more likely to forgive any minor mistakes you might make. Number 2, remember your speaking goal. We've all probably listened to at least one speaker who seemed to go on and on forever about nothing in particular. One reason why this happens is because the speech isn't focused enough. The speaker is trying to cover too much and ends up boring their listeners. Early in the process of developing your speech, identify the reason why you're speaking. Make it a point to stick to this goal during your presentation. Don't get sidetracked or off topic. Number 3, support your main points. Every point you make in your speech needs to be supported with either an example, an illustration, or facts. When you're supporting a point, it's best to be as specific as you can be. For example, in a speech about the importance of clean water, this statement is too vague. Many people don't have clean water. Stating this statistic from the US Center for Disease Control is a more effective way to support your point. Worldwide, 780 million people do not have access to unimproved water source. Number 4, use presentation tools wisely. Slide presentations often get a reputation for being dull, but that's because many speakers are unaware of what their presentation tools can do and don't make the best use of all the features. To better engage your audience, learn how to use the more advanced features of your tool. And these features are just the tip of the iceberg. To really elevate your public speaking techniques, you'll want to learn everything your presentation software tool can do. Number 5, use a professional template. While we are talking about presentation tools, let's also talk about presentation design. Your presentation design affects how your audience perceives you. Even if you've memorized your speech, give it perfectly, and have the most amazing topic, your audience might still judge you negatively if your presentation design is sloppy and unprofessional. Number 6, practice your speech. One of the most important public speaking techniques is often one of the most overlooked: practice. If you expect that you'll be an effective speaker without practicing your speech, you'd be wrong. The old saying, "Practice makes perfect," is really true when it comes to developing effective speaking skills. The more you practice your speech, the more familiar it will be to you, and the more comfortable you'll be giving it. Plus, practicing your speech is the only way to discover how long the speech will take and where you need to pause. Number 7, relax. It's normal to be nervous about public speaking. It's so common. There's an actual term for the fear of public speaking, glossophobia. But having some anxiety before giving a speech is perfectly normal. Still, you should try to relax if you can. You'll be more comfortable, and the audience will relate to you better too. Number 8, pace yourself. When it comes to public speaking, a common newbie error is to speak too quickly. This is usually caused by a combination of nerves and not realizing how fast you're actually speaking. But talking too fast makes it harder for your listeners to understand what you're saying. Effective public speakers know to pace themselves. They'll speak at a natural pace and work short, natural pauses into their speech. Number 9. Add visual aids. Visual aids can serve as a powerful illustration of your speech. Humans use their sight more than any other sense. So, if you can make your point by showing it to your listeners rather than describing it, they are more likely to remember it. Be careful though. To be effective, your visual aid must be of high quality and easily visible to all members of your audience. Avoid incorporating sloppy graphics into a slide presentation. Likewise, don't hold up a visual aid that's physically too small for those listening to see and words are crowded in a slide. Number 10. Dress comfortably but professionally. What's the right outfit to wear if you want to be an effective speaker? Well, there's no one answer. How you dress depends on who your listeners will be. But the general principle is that you want to dress professionally to make a good impression. Make sure to observe good grooming and hygiene rules too. Many experts feel you should dress according to how your audience dresses. If the audience is dressed formally, you don't want to show up in shorts and a t-shirt. Likewise, if the audience is wearing shorts and a t-shirt, don't dress formally. Number 11. Avoid awkward fillers. Like, we all slip these filler words into our conversations without even realizing it. But overuse of these words during a professional speech can make you sound less than confident. If you can, break the habit of using these words to become a better public speaker. Practice can help you eliminate these words from your speech patterns, but you may be so used to using them that it's hard to notice when you're doing it. This is where a speech coach, teacher, or friend would come in handy. They could listen for these words and help you break the habit of using them. Or you can record yourself using your gadgets. Then after, listen to it. Number 12. Use gestures but don't overdo. Natural movement during a speech is a sign of an effective public speaker. Hand gestures and even taking a few steps across the stage can be good public speaking techniques as long as they are natural, purposeful, and not overdone. Movement can make you appear more comfortable and help your audience relate to you. Number 13. Allow a Q&A. Question and answer sessions are one of the most underused public speaking techniques. Many speakers just say what they're going to say and then sit down. The beauty of a Q&A is that you get to hear your listeners' concerns directly and address them publicly, further strengthening your case. You can prepare for a Q&A session by creating your own list of questions and possible objections that audience members may have. Read answers. If someone does bring up a point that you hadn't thought of, don't panic. They don't expect you to know everything. It's perfectly acceptable to take their contact information and tell them that you'll get back to them once you've got the answer. Now let us have an activity. Deliver me properly, please. Directions. Read and internalize the text.
you